1, 2, 3.
It's time to talk fantasy football. Get your squad ready for this week's action with Frank and the Purple Rain crew. Now, live from the Fantasy Wire studios and home of the Casual Conversation podcast, it's the Purple Rain Fantasy Show.
What is up? Welcome to week 13 of the NFL and fantasy football season. Purple Rain Show, proud member of the Full-Time Fantasy Network. You're listening to the home of the Casual Conversation Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Frank B. You can find me on Twitter at FantasyWireHQ, online at thefantasyfootballwire.com. I literally just updated that site with rankings, starts and sits, podcast links, everything's on there, so check it out. And then you can follow the Purple Rain Show crew on Twitter and online. And I've got a co-host guest today, my man Chauncey Rollins. You can find him on Twitter at Sleepy Intellect. Give him a follow. We got to kick those follows up, man. That's what it's all about, the follows.
Definitely, yeah, for
all
sure.
About the
gotta
follows.
Get them up.
Yeah, we got to kick them up. So you shoot him a follow. Got some good stuff on there. And today we're going to talk, now it's week 13, so fantasy-wise, this is the home stretch right here. You're going out. Hopefully you're getting in the playoffs. You're going to make a run. You got to get the lineup set. You got to get the right matchups in there. So this is an episode we're going to talk about our starts and sits, risk-reward players. We'll talk about some real-life NFL action, pick some games. So let's jump into it and open with some freestyle on the Ravens. Man, it's been crazy with the Ravens.
It has been nuts.
How's it looking in B-more? Because I'm in Wisconsin. I grew up in Baltimore, so I wish I could be in the city and get the vibe. I miss it. I love it. So I kind of
the vibe is electric.
Yeah, it's got to be insane.
The vibe is electric right now. It's Lamar Mania, Lamar Villas, Action Jackson, whatever you want to call it, man. It's great. It's great right now. I love it.
Yeah, I posted on Twitter during that Rams beatdown that, man, I love that I've got to experience 2 Super Bowls with the Ravens. I've seen them. It was awesome. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But this offense is what I've been waiting 20 years for, since 96. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I've been wanting.
This is it, man. This is it. And like you mentioned, with the other 2 Super Bowl teams, you know, they were carried by Ray Lewis and dominant defenses, just tough-nosed guys who were willing to go get it. Lamar's completely flipped the script, man, with the offensive line, fullback, Patrick Ricard. The whole team is just behind him, and it's great. Fourth quarter chilling, man. It's unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, just
pulled 4 times in 12 games this season.
Yeah, just
remarkable.
The excitement for the offense. Like, when the offense is on the field, you got no idea what's going to happen. Like, it's just, I mean, the play.
Where's the ball
What's
going?
he going to do? Yeah, where's it going? Who's going to make a play? And even the entire offense, each player, everybody's stepping their game up. Look at Ingram. Do you think he runs harder now than he did in New Orleans? Kind of. He's blowing people up. I mean, everybody's putting the extra oomph, effort in, everything. So, I mean, it's contagious. You can just see it. That's a leader right there. That tells you everything you need to know. And just like, I don't know, I go back to like Brett Favre, MVP, 94, 95, 96 seasons, 3 MVPs. He was insane to watch because you never knew what he was going to do, what kind of throw he was going to make. But the receivers that he had back then, Billy Schrader, Robert Brooks before he was doing Lambeau leaps, all these guys were like no-namers. So you're looking at him and like, damn, if he had good receivers, how much better would he be? But all those players stepped their game up. They all showed out each week. Like, it's the same thing with the Ravens. There's so many similarities, and the juice on the team is insane. Like, dancing, singing, just everybody's in it. Like, I love it.
Big trust. Yeah.
I cannot.
It's amazing.
I can't get enough of it. It's insane. I love it.
He's running away with the MVP, in my opinion.
He should.
I don't even think it's close between him and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I think so.
He has pulled away. Monday night debut, bright lights, 5 touchdowns.
He could have had 6.
Could have had 6. Offensive churning. I'm loving it.
Now, what about Matt Skura?
It's always a downside to everything. Unfortunately, we lost starting center Matt Skura for the year. left leg broke.
That was brutal.
It's a tough one. That was brutal.
Yeah.
That was brutal to watch. But, next man up. That's the mentality. That's what Harbaugh has been preaching his whole tenure. So, we got Pat McCarry coming in. And from Monday night, he filled in well.
Yeah, I thought McCarry did good. I'm interested to see if they shuffle the line at all, if they're going to kick Bozeman down or any kind of combination. But you're right, because he came in and I'm like, oh, no, this is a test now. How's he hold up in the middle? Because the Rams D-line is tough, and he did good. Yeah. It was seamless. I mean, he got it done.
There was no fall off.
Yeah,
there was no fall off whatsoever. And hopefully we can see that and continue that moving forward.
Yeah, I think so. That's a big important piece to the puzzle is the offensive line in the trenches. And that's what I'm a big believer in. If without it, I mean, it's a domino effect if you don't have it. So they got to hold that line up.
Yeah, for sure.
Now give me
once again, Matt Scurry. Sorry, not meaning to cut you off, but once again, Matt Scurry, it's tough to see you go down. Second in Pro Bowl voting this year.
Yeah.
We'll do it for you, man. Yeah, it's just tough.
Get it done.
Yeah.
So what do you think on Mr. Harbaugh? Is he I haven't heard any conversation of Coach of the Year. You think he's being nothing. Nobody. You think he's being overlooked?
Without question.
Yeah.
Without question. I mean, you look at what he's done to completely revamp the offense and cater it around Lamar's skill set, to completely dive into that philosophy and that theory. That was a risky move, and he's seeing great rewards from it. Great rewards, and you got to salute that. I know it's a lot of other things going on. I mean, Sean Payton, the obvious names get brought up every year.
Right.
Every year, the obvious names get brought up. But if you look at what Harbaugh has done and completely shifted to this ground and pound, read option, punch you in the mouth style of play, it shouldn't go unnoticed.
Yeah, and he's made the tough decisions too with getting rid of Morningwig, which is the right decision.
Yeah,
he was there a little too long. But I mean, to have a coach that'll, make the call. A lot of the coaching trees and tenures are all like friends. It's who you know. You're bringing this guy in because you worked with him way back then at this spot, and it's all of that to a big degree. But to sever the ties and say, all right, we can't go on with you. This is where we got to get the offense, and it's not here. Like, you got to give coaches that make the decisions and pull the trigger a lot of credit, because it's hard when it's a buddy system and it's a friend, who league.
Right.
So to get rid of Morningwig, I think that was huge. And even the reports that came out, I think like this past week, maybe talking that he wanted to move Lamar Jackson to wide receiver. Like,
yeah, what was that about? I've seen too many reports about that. And then I actually seen the audio from, I guess it was Lamar's introductory press conference. I'm sorry. And he doubled down on it and just said, Lamar's our quarterback, but he has different skills. So, he definitely doubled down and said he was the quarterback. He just mentioned he has other skill sets that might be valuable to the team.
Yeah, well, the report made it sound like
why is it relevant now? I don't know.
I think the report kind of made it sound like as they got him ready, and I think Flacco was still playing, maybe that he was kind of stomping to get, hey, we could get another receiver like him. Let's put him in at receiver while Flacco was still playing, and they'd have another weapon on the outside. That's how I interpret it. Maybe I'm wrong, but either way, I mean, great. You put all the pieces, like you said, in place of the puzzle. Greg Roman to coordinate it, to work it, to get the system implemented. They bring in the triple option coach from Georgia Tech in the offseason. They're running these looks. They're changing looks. It's not the same thing. You don't know how they're going to hit you. Like, it's creative. Those are the things you got to do. Like, they lost the playoff game last year against the Chargers because they kept their same sets in the offensive line and their setup. They keyed on it. They broke the film down, learned it, and look what happened. That Morningwig, that's not being creative. You got to change it. You got to evolve it. You got to be ready, prepared. So I think Roman, I mean, if you look at the Ravens, they're stepping up. Obviously, their record's insane, but they're beating teams going away, and they're not really looking the same way every week, but they're being creative, and there's different stuff coming at you. I mean, they're handling their business against the Patriots. They don't show them the same stuff they showed, 2 weeks prior, maybe to a degree, but overall, they got a lot of ways that they have to be stopped, and nobody has done it yet. So I'm interested to see how the 49ers go about it this week. We'll see. It's going to be a really good game.
Really good one. Everybody's calling it a Super Bowl preview. Who knows? We'll see.
Yep. And then the biggest thing here. Now think back, preseason, Twitter.
Okay.
Polls about the AFC North, who's going to win, who's going to dominate. Ugh. What was the one common thing? Well, you guys lost CJ Mosley. You lost Eric Weddle. You guys' defense is going to dive, man. How many people were talking the defense was just going to fall off the map in Baltimore, right? This offseason. That's all I heard. I felt like I was the only one.
The sky was falling.
Yeah. I thought
literally the sky was falling.
I felt ridiculous. I thought like I was the only one not worried. Kind of like, well, what's wrong with me then? Because everybody's like, aren't you worried about the defense? I'm like, not really, because I mean, they got some guys to step up, and they lost Zadarius Smith, and just all the names. But I'm like,
I think that's what it was. I think the names were just so big, and they were just such staples here on the defense here in Baltimore. It's like not seeing them on the defensive side of the ball is crazy. Like you can't imagine not seeing CJ Mosley anchor the middle of the defense. And Zadarius Smith bringing the heat. Like, you just can't, like, fathom that. So, once that happened, it was just like the sky was falling. But I think what Eric DeCosta and Don Wink Martindale have done and just recreating the pieces and putting things together. And granted, it wasn't pretty early on. You know, we got busted by Cleveland, I believe, week 4 or 5 that was when Chubbs ran all through us. So, you know, it took some time. But I think the pieces that we got now and the way they have restructured this defense, they're solid. They're hungry, and they're coming to take your lunch money.
Yeah, and then to make the move to get Peters by the trade deadline was key. He has been the difference maker to turn it around.
Everything and more. He has been everything and more. A complete ball hawk. Great for the secondary. He gives Marlon that flexibility to now be that lockdown corner. It's beautiful. You got Jimmy coming back. So I think with the addition of Marcus Peters, it's just furthering strength in that secondary and just getting us where we need to become playoff and Super Bowl push time.
And then he's going to battle Jalen Ramsey at the tunnel Sunday, too. How about that?
Oh, man. Jalen Ramsey. Jalen.
They're balling out at the stadium.
That was good, yeah. Balling out in the stadium.
I was laughing so hard. They're jawing at it, and then they said he was waiting at the tunnel for Peters to come through. Man, they just don't care. I mean, I like that. That's the swag. Remember the swagger when?
No, I like that. I like that competitive nature. You know, I mean, they're both two premier corners in this league. You know, so they walk with that bravado and kind of like that. You know, I'm just the guy. Like they both are the guys at their position, and I love it. I thought it was great.
Because just like the first Super Bowl,
they kept it on the field. Yeah, I loved it.
The first Super Bowl team defensively, man, they used to talk so much stuff. Jamie Sharper, Ray Lewis. I mean, I remember when they were going out to Oakland and Rich Gannon's MVP, number 1 rated offense, and just talking all kinds of trash. They don't care. Doesn't matter. It's great. I love that stuff. It's so good.
And you can just see that now, like. You just see that that it's just grown over time with the defense and just everything that they just implemented. It's perfect.
Oh yeah, no, it's been good.
Now it's just transition to the offensive side.
Yes, yeah. Swagger on offense is something Baltimore has not seen.
Oh my goodness,
Baltimore hasn't had a swagger on offense, and I couldn't tell you when. I can't even think of like when they were really balling.
I don't think ever. I don't really think ever.
I mean, with Anquan Bolden and
Torrey
Smith,
Torrey Smith, Dennis Pitta.
Yeah, it was there a little bit, but not to this degree.
But not to this magnitude, not to this degree, not even that. More so to the efficiency. If you just look at the efficiency of this offense and the way everything is just clicking, I've never seen. I don't think anybody. I've been watching football for a long time now, and I don't think a lot of people who are witnessing this, it's mind-blowing almost. It's literally mind-blowing. You can run through the numbers. The numbers are ridiculous. Lamar's last 4 games, like, wow.
I'm just glad, like, for the Michael Vick comparisons that nobody is really getting into a shit show argument about who's better. You know, and it's more complimentary, which is nice. Because they're similar, but they're still really different quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure.
because even Vic admitted, he didn't study film, he didn't put the work in, he just showed up and rode talent, and really never got out of that until it was too late in his career. And Lamar Jackson is hitting it right off the start, rookie on, hard as you can go, full in the playbook, learn it, love it, live it. So I mean, it's just two different QBs, but I do like that it's complementary. They're supporting each other. I think Vic was giving them the Madden rating shoes on Twitter.
Dope.
I've seen
that was super dope. Yeah, I saw that. That was super cool, man.
That was nice.
Super cool.
So that's good. I like to see that.
Yeah, I like to see that. Just the passing of the torch, from one generation to the next.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's do some NFL news and injury notes here real quick. These injuries week in and week out, man. So let's see who we got this week. The biggest name, I guess, I don't know, you could say big name, Eric Ebron, tight end for the Colts with the ankle. He's injured reserve, so obviously you're looking at like Jack Doyle to take his spot. Hopefully his fantasy stock will rise. Golden Tate, did you hear on Golden Tate? Concussion, banged the back of his head on the ground after he caught the touchdown. Playing the Packers, he may or may not play now.
Oof. Tough for their offense.
Yeah, so now you got Sterling Shepard. I don't think they have Evan Ingram, so you got Rhett Ellison at tight end.
Darius Slayton in there?
Yeah, Slayton ought to play. So fantasy-wise, you got to kick Slayton up. And he has some big plays. He can get some big plays on you. He's a little sneaky there. Hunter Renfrow for the Raiders. Busted rib and a punctured lung. Why do I feel like I haven't even heard that until today? But given the severity of that injury, I don't think he's coming back this year. Even fantasy-wise.
He's done for the year?
With a punctured lung, you'd think, right? Yeah. Busted ribs, ribs especially. So if you're looking at the fantasy playoffs, which are the next, this week and 14, 15, 16, even if he comes back, I'm pretty hesitant on starting him in a championship lineup, that you got to count on a good score there. So I don't know about him. You can kind of keep an eye on it if you're a Hunter Renfrow owner in fantasy. And then Carson Wentz, hand injury, he should be okay. Questionable. I'm sure he'll play. Tyreek Hill, hamstring, he's probably going to be back this week, but just to keep an eye on. Adam Thielen, same deal with the hamstring. Now, he burned a lot of fantasy teams with the hamstring injury, the game that had happened. And then when he came back, he exited within like the first play or something, first pass that he caught. He was out again. Then they had the bye week. So this is really your first true week of starting Adam Thielen in your lineup. I have him in 2 leagues, and I am super nervous about starting him this week because I need to get in those playoffs in those leagues. So I'm kind of worried there. I don't know. What do you think? Would you start him?
Thielen?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
With the hamstring? I'm nervous. I don't know.
With the hamstring going in, it's playoff time. I mean, Thielen, he's a volume player. He gets a lot of targets. He gets a lot of opportunities to make plays on the ball. Kirk Cousins is playing pretty decent. I would start Thielen for sure, even with the hamstring.
I'm just worried he's going to exit early, and then you're leaving a lot of points on the board. But we'll see. They got Alshon Jeffrey with an ankle. He ought to play. Jordan Howard with the shoulder for the Eagles. He ought to play. Devontae Freeman is another running back where Fantasy World's waiting to see if he's going to play or not with a foot injury because he would be a nice running back this week.
Yeah, I think he's been given the full go this week. He's Thursday night.
Yep, and then
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you're going to need him this week, so you got to lock him in.
Yeah.
James Conner for the Steelers with the shoulder. I don't think he's playing this week. Austin Hooper's already been ruled out for the Falcons tight end, so if you're a Conner owner, you're looking at Benny Snell. Austin Hooper owner, you're looking really, there is no next man up tight end wise in Atlanta. Nobody's really been taking the targets at the tight end position. So, and then Dwayne Haskins with a wrist. He's not, it should be a blip on the radar, nothing crazy. And that's about it for injuries and stuff. So hopefully, fingers crossed, man, everybody's nice and healthy for the fantasy run. Get us into some championships and some good games,
Yeah, definitely. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for everybody's team.
So we'll look at some fantasy starts. Who do you like this week? Give me your rundown on some players you are inserting in the lineup.
All right. For quarterback, I got Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson. I think Matt Ryan coming back against New Orleans. I think that should be a shootout game. I think Matt Ryan should put up a decent amount of points.
I'm hoping.
Run. Yeah, we'll see. Running back, I got Dalvin Cook, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders, man, let's give it up for Miles. He's been showing up consistently week in, week out. Jordan Howard apparently can't stay on the field. I think he'll get a lot of volume this week. For wide receiver, we're going Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, Tyler Lockett. Tight end group, we got Mark Andrews, George Kittle, and Ryan Griffin. Mark Andrews, number one in the Ravens team, number one in your hearts. Been producing all year, number one in targets, number one in touchdowns. I don't see that slowing up against a stout San Francisco defense. I still think he stays on track. So those are my starts for this week.
I was a little worried on Andrews. I got him as like a boom or bust risk reward player. I don't think he totally busts because he gets too many targets, but I've got Andrews. My tight ends for starts this week, I've got Greg Olsen, Gerald Everett against the Cardinals. The Cardinals are giving up a touchdown in every game to the tight end position, so I'm locking him in if you're touchdown dependent. Jack Doyle, we talked about Ebron going out. He ought to get a kick up in targets. And then Dallas Goedert against the Dolphins. I like him. He's been just as much involved in the game plan as Zach Ertz. And without healthy wide receivers, he's been getting a ton of consistent targets, and he should find the end zone in that matchup. And then quarterbacks, going back to the top, I was going Kyler Murray against the Rams. Similar Lamar Jackson style. He's not Lamar, but it's similar style that the Rams defense they're going to have to face 2 weeks in a row. So are they on the rebound or on the ropes? I think they're more on the ropes against that style of quarterback. So I like Murray. I like Aaron Rodgers to bounce back against the Giants. Everybody's pretty much written him off after that horrible performance, but it's the Niners. Niners are tough, man. Defense is no joke. The running back starts for me. I'd go Miles Sanders as well. I do like him against the Dolphins. He's been consistent, and he should have a big game. Even if he's got a split with Jordan Howard, they're still good. He's still going to be good for 10 to 15 touches. And he can definitely find the end zone, even if it's a big lead and it's garbage time and Howard is, wanting to keep the shoulder warm and healthy and they yank him and it's the Miles Sanders show, run out the clock. That's a lot of nice garbage time opportunity there for him too. So I do like him as a start. Eckler against the Broncos. I like Aaron Jones against the Giants as well, another Packer. And then wide receivers, DK Metcalf against the Vikes. I like him. I think he can get loose with Vikings coverage going more to Lockett, Russell Wilson. They're going to have to contain Hollister at tight end, so I think DK can get loose back there. I like DJ Shark against the Bucks. The Bucks are giving up huge pass plays to everybody, wide receivers, so Shark's a hot one. And I don't care if it's Foles. Do you? I mean, are you that worried? Foles has been decent. If you go back and look at his numbers, he's kind of been delivering some decent stats for coming back, missing all those games. He's not lighting it up.
Foles at all.
Yeah,
he's not lighting it up, but he's manageable. You know, he's keeping them in games. He's putting up decent points. I wouldn't mind Foles. I'd stick with Foles for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, he's been getting everybody their targets for Shark, D. Westbrook. I think even Cole was in there, Keelan Cole. So I mean, he's getting the ball out, he's getting it delivered. So I like DJ Shark a lot this week. And yeah, I did the tight ends off the top. So those would be my starts. Nice. Give me some sits are hard each week too, because some of these you get into these weeks, it's like you want to play the matchup and you want to sit a good player. That happens to me quite often where you're like, damn, I don't really want to sit this guy, but I may have to. But give me some sits there on your end.
Okay, sits for this week, starting at quarterback, I got Jared Goff. Coming off of a tough loss. I just don't see him rebounding. I think that beat down to Baltimore might play into this week. Also, next up, I got Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield. Running backs, I have Devin Singletary, David Montgomery, Phillip Lindsay. Phillip Lindsay, he was big this year. Coming into this year, I was expecting a lot out of him. I think fantasy owners were, maybe for deeper leagues, but he just hasn't lived up to it. And it's playoff week. I don't really see any reason to play him. So we're going to receivers now. I got Cooper Kupp. Domino effect. Once again, I'm going with Cooper Kupp and the Los Angeles Rams. I feel like I'm kind of being hard on him this week, but I just think after that slacking they took, it'll kind of be hard to get back on it and pick up any steam for for right now. I think they're a little bit in the shuffle right now with things that they got going on. T.Y. Hilton and finally Emmanuel Sanders. Tight end position, we got Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry, and Jared Cook. Jared Cook, I feel like he's been streaky from week in to week out. I mean, you just don't know what you're going to get with him. I kind of feel like he had more of an expectation coming into this year being in that New Orleans high-powered offense. So I just think he'll be a sit this week.
You don't like Henry either?
Don't like Henry. I don't like Henry, and that's also, I think more of my sits are just more to the quarterback play. Phillip Rivers coming off a four interception game.
Yeah, he's been awful.
Whew. He's been awful. He's been a tough watch. So I think that's just more of a tribute to the quarterback play. I just don't.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see Lindsey too, because the quarterback deal for Denver is so bad that teams are like, well, hey, we'll stack 8, make you beat us with your arm. So Lindsey gets taken out of the game kind of quick too. And for me, for sits, I was gonna go Jimmy Garoppolo against the Ravens.
Ooh.
How are you gonna start Garoppolo with the DBs? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't see him doing much. Brissett against Tennessee. I don't like him this week. Goff as well. Maybe I'm wrong, but like you said, I can't see Goff bouncing back big time. Maybe he does. I mean, the experts are saying it, but my gut says no. Running back sits. I'm going to go Brian Hill for the Falcons. We talked about if Freeman comes back, but Hill has been super disappointing.
He's been a letdown. Yeah, major letdown.
If you're playing in a standard league and you just need, it's some kind of yardage total, he's going to give it to you. But when they get down to the red zone, it's Allison getting the red zone look. So Hill is a sit. I put Chris Carson as a sit against the Vikes. Vikings defense, run defense, they can show up when they want to show up. And being an NFC game, everybody's fighting for that playoff spot. These two teams may have to see each other again. So I think it brings up the level of play this week. And I think the Vikings could take Carson out of the game, especially if he's going to have to split with Rashad Penny. I think his stock is down. Carlos Hyde against the Patriots. You just don't run on the Patriots. They're tough. If you want to beat them, you got to commit to a run game. The Ravens proved it. The Browns almost proved it. But with Carlos Hyde and that Texans line, I don't see them able to do much against the New England front. And then the wide receivers, I got to sit Marquise Brown. I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this one. And I know he had a monster game in LA. And when I went to the LA game, I went into it in my mindset, I should say. I'm thinking like Brown on Ramsey. Brown edges him out with speed. Ramsey edges him out with skill and experience. Maybe he gets a few, but he ain't going to get that many. And he has, he has a pretty monster game for the first half. Kind of disappeared the second half. But against the Niners, you got Richard Sherman, who's still savvy, vet. They got a decent back end because their front line is so good and the heat that they draw. I don't know if Brown can get loose like he did in LA. It's going to be a tougher task, I think. So I'm going to put him as a sit and he's the other fantasy. He's the epitome fantasy. When you play him, he doesn't do anything. And when you bench him, he has the best week he ever had.
Just lights out.
So, so this close to the championships and everything and the playoffs, I'm sitting him this week just because I don't want to piss myself off when I see him go off right on the bench. And then on the opposite end there, I'm going Deebo Samuel because Deebo's been really hot for the Niners, and he gets loose underneath, drag routes, curl stuff down the middle, yards after catch. But the Ravens' depth at corner is too much. With the safeties, Chuck Clark at safety now is bringing a lot of game, lining people up in the right spots. The corners, Jimmy Smith, Peters, you just got too many. Pick your poison, right? I think they can shut him down. Tight ends, I'm going to sit. I'm going to put these three together because I think they're all equally bleh. Vance McDonald, Noah Fant, and Mike Gesicki. I get so much conversation on Twitter about these guys. I don't know why. I get a lot of people DM and ask me what about Gesicki or Fant? The quarterback play, is just you don't know where it's going, and you could say that for all three. I guess maybe not the Dolphins, but Duck Hodges is throwing the ball. Is he going to get Vance involved? I don't know. Is this the week you want to find out? Not really. Noah Fant, he doesn't.
I don't know if I want to.
Noah Fant.
I don't know if I want to roll the dice this week.
Nope. Noah Fant's got nobody throwing to him. Maybe they make a switch at quarterback this week. That could happen as well. You don't know. So those three together for me would be definite.
Drew Lock, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, definite sits. Maybe they go off with a different quarterback, game plan. I don't know, but you know how it goes. If you play them, this will be the week that they do nothing. Let's break it up and jump into some rapid fire 5 questions. You got 5 for me, and I got 5 for you. You want to go first and hit me with yours?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. All right.
These are off the cuff. I have no prep. I'm just off the top of our head. We're going to give our best answer. Go.
All right. Who wins the rushing title this year?
It's got to be McCaffrey. He's been a monster. Yeah, he's all over the place. Pure yardage, but for pure yardage, I feel like there's somebody else. Why do I feel like that?
Pure yardage?
Yeah, just pure straight yardage for the rushing title. It's got to be McCaffrey though. He's got over 1,000.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
I gotta go McCaffrey there.
All right, next question. Will the Bengals get their first win this week?
And Andy Dalton may come back. God, see,
how you see that playing out? I might be jumping a little early.
No,
the game they picks, but I just wanted to get your reaction on that.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think I like Dalton coming back, obviously, right? Because your other guy's not getting it done. As much time as Dalton's come back, that might be too much for him to overcome in his first game back. I think Dalton may be okay after that.
You ready for the next question?
Hit it.
This is Ravens personnel question. Heading into the offseason, who's a bigger priority to re-sign, Ronnie Stanley or Marlon Humphrey?
Well, I'm going for my own personal philosophy. Like we said earlier, it's in the trenches. And if I'm a GM of a team, I mean, you got to protect the franchise. And that you got a lineman like Stanley, who you spent a high pick on. He's been a stud. He's delivered. No distractions. No getting locked up. No beating his wife. No nothing. Right? He's been
seriously
model citizen.
Knock on wood, right?
Yeah, he's been off the charts, man. He's delivered. Consummate pro, teammate, everything. He's everything you want. Why not give money to a guy like that, right? So I'm giving money. I don't care. Back up the Brinks truck. I'm paying him. You protect the franchise. You go out in the draft this year and you get another lineman or you get another corner. Whatever the need, you're going to address it. But yeah, I'm going to pay Stanley.
Pay him. Pay the man. Pay the guru. I like it. All right. Next question. Better fallback this week. Super Bowl preview. Patrick Ricard or Kyle Juszczyk?
Oh man, I love both of those guys.
Yeah, man.
They're the old school fullbacks. But I think, man, if you want to really throw it back, you got to go Ricard's the better guy because for as smart as Kyle is, Juszczyk, you like him, the smarts that he brings to the table. But Patrick Ricard, I just love everything what he brings to the table as far as being physical, playing two positions, defense and offense. Maybe he blows an assignment and gets in the wrong spot, but he will blow that other guy up, on the block. He will pick up the key block. He will steamroll somebody to open up a run lane. So I'm going Patrick Ricard, man. He's just too physical. He's that farm strong guy. You know what I mean? Like that.
I like it.
Strong as an ox, farm kid kind of thing. Like Big Ten O lineman. Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he would be my pick there.
Okay. Keep it rolling. Staying on the Ravens here. After the recent success and the dominating of a few other NFL teams, do you think the Ravens are peaking too early? And should that be a concern?
A little bit, because I don't think, man, I was kind of asking myself that with the first really big win, but they keep putting back to back, they're winning the same way style week in, week out. I don't think they're going to peak too early, but they've got to have one letdown game just to slap them.
For sure. One loss, just to bring them back to reality a little bit.
Right. Because you got to regroup. And every team that goes on a Super Bowl run, it happens. It's like textbook. When you write the story of the Super Bowl team, you always include that one loss in week whatever, gelled the team together. And it was always against a team that they should have beat and they lost. And for whatever reason, that's kind of how. So I know it's on the schedule somewhere. Maybe it's the Steelers. Maybe it's the Browns towards the end, especially after, if they lock something up real early and clinch, maybe we're resting guys. You get into that whole kind of angle of things. So I don't think it's a peak too early, but man, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop for one of these because it happens to every team, no matter who it is, no matter Peyton Manning's, Aaron Rodgers, doesn't matter. Everybody gets one.
All right, and then wrap it up. Let's get your final season record for the Ravens and playoff seeding. Did they finish?
Oh, they got to finish first. They're going to take a bye.
So you see New England dropping one? Or do you see New England dropping a few? How you think that plays out?
I think New England and Baltimore can finish real close to each other, if not damn near the same record. But you give Baltimore the tiebreaker because they beat them. Yep. So I would go that route. Either way, I don't really mind because I always like a team in the playoffs to go on the road. I want them to have to start from scratch because the teams typically will just get that mentality. Like, think of all those Super Bowl teams that were the 6th seed or the 5th, and they went on the run, right? They know they got to keep winning, backs against the wall. They're on the road, hostile environment. Nobody's giving them nothing. Everybody's counting them out. Like, that mentality really fuels players and, like, competitiveness. I always think that's a bigger edge than having the 1 week bye. You can do what you want. It's at home. You're confident. Not worried about, you know what I mean? Like, you get kind of like lackadaisical kind of, and maybe you're not as focused. Like, I mean, the Packers, I saw them get eliminated so many times, one and done, or the bye and they get eliminated, or I mean, even other teams too. So I'd rather see it go the other way. Either way, I think the Ravens are fine, but yeah, I think they would get the bye this year for AFC.
Sounds good, man. That's what I like to hear. Rapid fire questions, wrap up, man. That's it. What you got for me?
All right, I got 5 for you, and I'm going to go fantasy perspective here. So this year, who would be your fantasy player MVP? Any position, maybe it's somebody on your team, somebody you don't have, but overall in the fantasy landscape, who would be the MVP there for you?
I'll go with my personal fantasy team. And for me, just looking it over, run CMC, man. I would have to go with Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, I would totally agree. He's do it all, lock and load.
He's do it all, man.
Every week.
Swiss Army knife.
Every week he shows up.
Every week he's a lock-in. You gotta go with it. MVP considerations. What can he do? Out of the backfield, he can catch it, run in between the tackles, which was a concern for him coming out his rookie year. However, he has silenced all of that noise.
Yeah, he's a set and forget player in fantasy, and those are the ones that you want on your roster. So,
and that's not going to change. That he's going to continue to get better, and they're going to continue to get better around him.
All right.
So Christian McCaffrey for sure.
That's kind of what I would say too. I got to pull up maybe I don't. This is good podcasting here. Hold on, I need to reference something before I ask you this, and I probably should have had it pulled up before, but it just popped in my head. What team scares you the most
in the AFC?
Yes, the Ravens have got to go through whatever team to the Super Bowl. Which of those teams scares you the most? You're like, I don't know, maybe it's the Patriots. That's what I was trying to get an idea who's okay. Yeah, so you have the Patriots, Ravens, obviously Texans, Chiefs, or Bills right now. And then you could have a fringe 6 seed with the Steelers or maybe the Raiders. But obviously your big guns are Chiefs, Texans, Patriots. Who would scare you the most?
I mean, of course, I think anybody would say Patriots just based off of their pedigree alone. But I think I'm going to go with, honestly, I want to go with either the Bills. The Bills kind of scare me because they're dangerous. And what Josh Allen is doing, that defense, John Smoke Brown.
Oh, yeah.
They really turned it around up there. They can be a scary team come playoff time. And of course the Chiefs. I mean, as much as Lamar is doing, Pat Mahomes was Lamar last season. So I don't want to get like too caught up in what Lamar's doing and not take away from what he did all of last year. And to be honest, if he kicks it up and goes in the high gear, he can get on an MVP tear. So I think the Chiefs are always a legitimate threat, and I want to throw the Bills in there as well, just because they're doing so well this year too.
Yeah, 8-3 Bills. That's insane. That's insane.
8-3. Yeah.
Next question would be, I asked you who your fantasy MVP was. Who would be your fantasy dud? Who's your bust this year? Worst fantasy? Maybe high expectations and he's disappointed. You know, a player like that, or just somebody that you just burned you, something like that.
Yeah. You know what? My fantasy dud this year, well, I wouldn't say it was a dud, but I just had more of an expectation when I initially selected him would be Darius Geese.
Yeah.
He was a guy, you know, I thought that he would eventually take over that running back spot from AP early in the year, but he just can't seem to shake the injury bug. I mean, he's starting to come on now as a recent, and I think he would be a good pickup, you know, to try to make a playoff, maybe championship run in fantasy leagues. But initially coming into the year, I thought he would be the guy. You know, I thought he would be the guy to get the workload, and I thought we would start seeing more of a coming out party for him in year 2. I believe this is year 2 for him. So that would kind of be a bit of a disappointment for me because I had high expectations drafting.
Yeah, I would agree to that. This was supposed to be the year he broke out. This was supposed to be the year he took over the backfield, and just his talent is off the charts. And then, another injury kind of thing, and now they're splitting him with AP, so that's a dud status for sure. Real life, NFL, which division has the better playoff race this year? As it's ramping up to the end of the season, your AFC is kind of falling into shape. Like I said, you got the Bills, Chiefs, Texans, Patriots, Ravens, and then the NFC, you're looking obviously the Niners, the Saints, the Packers, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, and then a fringe 6th seed Vikings, maybe Rams if they can make some noise, and then just duds after that. But what side are you taking there? Who's giving you more excitement?
On the NFC side?
No, either. You like the AFC better, more, better matchups. NFC, who's better? Which one? If you could sit down and only watch one division of playoffs this year, you'd pick which one?
I'm not going to use my bias here, but I think I would have to go with the NFC, man. I think I would have to go with the NFC. The quarterback play, I think, it's a little bit more of experience. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I think in the playoffs, like any team would want experience at that position. So I think you would have more of an entertaining game almost. Like I believe Deshaun Watson last year, his wild card game against Indy was just it wasn't like I didn't see him play that way all year. And I think a lack of experience probably has something to do with that. So I think from the NFC, you got Kirk Cousins, who's been in the league for a while. He might not have a lot of playoff experience, but I think he could turn it on, and he could help the guys around him turn it on. You got Aaron Rodgers over there, Dak Prescott. Jimmy G hasn't had a lot of experience, but I think he would turn it on in the playoffs. Russell Wilson. So I just think it's just more of an experience factor for me that would make it more intriguing for the NFC side. Of course. Well, the AFC, of course, you got Brady, but then there's Lamar, Patrick. It's just more. I just think it's just experience for me that I would go with the NFC. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got veteran guys in the NFC, and you got veteran guys that need to get that championship. I mean, how bad
they need it? Yeah. To cement their career, just to cement that resume. A lot of guys really need it.
Yeah, I think.
And for me, I think I'm just rooting for a lot of guys on the NFC to kind of get one.
Yeah, Drew Brees, how bad does he want one? Because the Saints have been close 2-3 years in a row here.
Packers, they can't catch a break. Yeah,
Rodgers, he wants another one in the worst way. The Packers definitely would love it. Dak Prescott, how bad does old Jera want a championship, right? So, yeah, I mean, quarterbacks, definitely. Russell Wilson, I mean, experience, he's been there, he's got one. Definitely wants another to cement a nice legacy, too. So, yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Last question, kind of going back to the beginning here when we were talking Ravens. You are the GM, and you are in the seat, the Ravens' first round 2020 draft pick. You are going to use that on?
Pass rush. Defensive end, give me the best pass rusher. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, more heat. Oh, man, I'm just thinking, I mean, more heat coming off that defensive line and a rotation.
Judon this year. You lock him up.
Yeah, and a good rotation.
You need to get, for sure. I would definitely focus on that pass rush just to solidify. I mean, your back end's pretty decent, but I think you need to make a little bit more noise up front.
Yeah, or even a D tackle
Pass rush.
that can, like a speed D tackle, to get through the line, or even another big, either way across that whole D line.
The trenches, man.
Yeah,
I
that
think
would be nice.
You shore up the trenches a little bit. Yep.
Yeah.
That would be what I do. I would go with that.
All right. I like that. I can get with that. Now you just got to call up EDC and get in the chair this year.
Right. Make it happen, right? I wish.
All right. Well, let's jump into the last part of the fantasy end here and look at some risk reward type players. And these are guys that are just going to risk reward kind of play, or a boomer bust kind of type players. Who do you like this week? Who would you put in that risk reward spot?
Risk reward, I got Sam Darnold, Kyler Murray, and Julius Hodges. I think Julius Hodges' last start against San Diego, he played pretty well. Opposite of what Rudolph has been, it can only go up from here. So I think that might be a consideration. For a running back, I have Benny Snell, Gus Edwards, and Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has been playing great this year. I kind of see why that would throw people off a little bit with Aaron Jones being in the risk-reward section. But Jamal Williams has started to come on. I think he's starting to get more of the in-between the tackle carries and volume. So, with Aaron Jones, maybe he sees more red zone opportunities moving forward. I just think that being that he was such a impact player early on, it's kind of, you're starting to see like a shift. So I don't know if you want to trust that moving forward, or maybe you do. Wide receiver, I got Marquise Brown, Terry McLaurin, and Chris Godwin. Another one, Chris Godwin, risk reward goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier with the quarterback play. I just think Jameis Winston is a turnover machine, so you don't know what you're going to get out of him week to week. Tight end, I got Daniel Fells, Vance McDonald, and Greg Olsen.
Yeah. I think going back to Godwin, too, you never know if it could be Mike Evans' week to put up 100 points, right?
Exactly.
I mean, Godwin is usually decent, but he boomed for such a run that now that Evans came out, it's like, I mean, it's not a bust if he's putting double-digit fantasy points up, but he's not getting nearly what he was when it was, mid-season, too. So
right.
I can see that, yeah. So for me, I'm going on the quarterback side. I think Baker Mayfield against Steelers, Cousins against the Seahawks, and Tannehill against the Eagles. I think those are boom bust kind of guys. The Seahawks defense is no joke. They can turn it on when they want. Like I said, the NFC is going to be, this is positioning time. So I think that could be a tough match. Running backs, I got Rashad Penny because he came on the scene this past week out of nowhere after he's been a fantasy dud for most of the entire season. Taking time away from Carson. You don't know what they're going to do against that Vikings run defense. He could boom and go off with a big play because he is a big play guy. You just don't know. Phillip Lindsay, I put in the risk reward facing the Chargers. The Chargers give up a lot of run, but when we talked earlier about stacking the box and daring the quarterback to beat you, I mean, who's to say Ingram, Bosa, that's a good defensive line. They should be able to take Lindsay right out of that game. So I think he could still go off if the Chargers don't show up and their stats show who they are, or they could turn it on and take him out. I put in Christian Kirk against the Rams for a risk reward. This could be a rebound game or another dud game for them. If they want to show up, they could take Kirk out of the game. I put Tyler Boyd against the Jets as a risk reward with Dalton coming back. With Dalton in the mix, he's seeing like 9 targets a game. And without Dalton playing, I think he was only getting 5 or 6. So Dalton can get him the ball. It's his go-to guy. The Jets defense has been pretty hot the past 2 weeks. They took care of the Raiders in a nice way. They're just building off of that. It's a risk reward to play him this week. Maybe he could do something. Maybe he couldn't. And then tight ends, I did put Mark Andrews in that risk reward because he usually delivers. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But this is a tough match this week. The Niners linebackers are not generous to the tight end. They can take care of the tight ends fantasy-wise. So while Andrews is going to be involved in the targets, he can get his catches. PPR, hopefully you're playing a PPR league where he's going to get 3 to 5 catches for sure. It's just more touchdown dependent. So I don't know if he can get in the end zone this week. Maybe they got to be a little creative and get somebody else involved. Seth Roberts, Willie Snead again, somebody that's not getting the attention, I guess, defensively. So I could see Andrews as a boomer bust. Jacob Hollister for the Seahawks against the Vikings. They got a lot of weapons on the Seahawks offense. DK Metcalf, Lockett, Penny and Carson. Moore caught a touchdown, or you don't know where they're going to strike. Russell Wilson, Hollister could just as well disappear in this game as he could, have 2 touchdowns. So I think he's a risk reward type play. And then Jimmy Graham for the Packers. I think he's always risk reward in my opinion. He could show up and ball out, and then other times he's totally vanished out of the game plan. You don't even see him. And it boggles my mind. I was riding the Jimmy Graham bandwagon last year when the Packers signed him, because I really thought they were going to use him in the red zone. 6'7". He can still out jump guys. He's a freak. He has no speed. He cannot run down the sideline anymore. He cannot pull across the middle of the field and break away through zone. He's not the same tight end. But if you're bringing him in as a hired gun in the red zone, oh man, why wouldn't you like that, right? But the Packers just don't do it. They don't use him the way he should be used. He had a few good games this season, but in a tight end fantasy landscape, it's really hard to hit on a tight end when you're out of the top 5 in your league, right? So you're kind of riding scraps to get you by. So Jimmy Graham, if you got to play him, maybe he goes off against a bad Giants defense, but be prepared. It could go the other way. Now, we're recording this on Wednesday, so we're going to skip waivers this week because you should already have your waivers here lined up and ready. So let's jump in to one of my favorites. Let's cut some guys this week and fire them.
Screw you! You're fired! You're fired! Whoa! You're fired! You're fired!
We talked about Brian Hill earlier for the Falcons. I am firing Brian Hill this week. He gone! Kenny Stills for the Texans. I don't know. I thought he was going to do a little more than what he has done in the offense. And even when Fuller was out, he really didn't do too much. I mean, he had a few good games, don't get me wrong, but for the snaps and things that he has seen, his production has just fell off a cliff with only 1 reception of 6 yards. I mean, he's a distant third in that Texans wide receiver pecking order. So I'm going to cut Kenny Stills this week. Josh Gordon, man, he's on my bubble. I know I just said Seattle's got some weapons, but in the fantasy landscape, to put Josh Gordon in the mix, you're taking a chance of like a 5-point performance, or best case, 12 to 15 points. You don't know. 74% ownership in fantasy leagues, but since he's joined the Seattle Seahawks following his dismissal from New England, he really hasn't made any impact, I guess. I mean, if you think about it, 2 games as a Seahawk, 3 receptions, 37 yards, no TDs. Now he's got games against the Vikings, Rams, and Panthers running through the gauntlet here. I don't like him this week that much at the Vikings. I think he could do some damage. There's potential, but I like him more against the Rams and Panthers. It's hard to see where he ends up, but I mean, if you've got better options on your lineup in your roster, then Josh Gordon would be a cut. And anybody else, I think that's about it for me. The obvious ones that have been pissing me off lately when I go through my available free agents is Antonio Brown. Please stop. Don't sign him. There's leagues. I'm in other leagues. People have signed him. He's not coming back. Des Bryant.
Sorry.
He gone. Des Bryant. Oh my God. Who else was in? I saw Colin Kaepernick in there today. Get these guys off. Don't sign them. Don't take up dead space. Right? Oh, yeah. My biggest firing of the week, every week, past 2 weeks, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He was another guy that should have broken out this year on that Packers offense.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Cut his ass. He's not showing up.
He gone.
Goodbye. He gone. Who do you got? Who's getting fired in your squad here?
Yeah, man. Give me Mr. Nelson Aguilar.
You don't do nothing.
Nothing. He's gone.
Nice.
Zach Pascal, Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, Pascal, yeah. Well,
Pascal.
Okay, yep. Pascal.
How you feel about him? He's gone. He's gone, man.
T.Y. Hilton's back.
T.Y. Hilton's back.
Brissett runs around quite a bit. I mean, Pascal was pretty nice without Hilton, but with Hilton and without Ebron, I kind of feel like it's going to be Doyle and Hilton moving forward. I could agree there. I could see him getting declining. Who else you got?
Initially, I want to say Traquan Smith. I've been trying to get some deep receivers lately, and I was hoping he just had a touchdown last week, so I was on the verge of cutting him, but I'm kind of up in the air about it.
That's what makes it hard when you're about to cut somebody. They show
and
up.
It's just like they show up late, and it's like, I don't know if I should rock with it, but
it's hard. That's a hard choice. They got Michael Thomas stealing the show. They got Ted Ginn. You know, he's good for 3 bomb targets a game. Traquan, yeah, I don't know. I think I would cut him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I could cut him. Especially if there's somebody else on the waivers. I guess the biggest thing that I don't think people do enough is when they're going to make a waiver wire addition and you see these players in your head, you have recency bias, right? Like you just said, Traquan Smith, he had a touchdown, he had a decent game. So in your recency bias state of mind, he is at the forefront. Maybe it was somebody else that you saw on a highlight on Twitter, ESPN, whatever. So when you see the name on the waiver, you instantly think you got to get him. So you're window shopping because in reality, is that guy any better than anybody on your team that you currently have? And if the answer makes you have to think for a second or say no, do not get that guy because you're looking for consistency. You're looking for a guy that you pretty much count on to show up in a matchup, right? For a decent floor and a good ceiling that he could go off, but at least for the floor. So if I'm looking at, I don't know, Randall Cobb was a waiver this week. He's had some good games. He's put it together. So there's a little bit of consistency. And then the floor, you look at, okay, it's a tough matchup against the Bills, but where are the Bills going to go in coverage? Most likely Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup on the outside, Zeke, you got to take care of Zeke, right? That makes me feel like Cobb has a pretty decent floor that if I play him in a flex or however deep my league is, that he'll get me at least, oh my God, PPR, right? He's got to be good for 5 catches. He's got to have 5 catches in that game at least. Maybe the yardage isn't there, but maybe he gets a touchdown. So I think always look at waivers and cutting players with that kind of mindset. Because, man, window shopping kills you. That will kill your team. You will get those guys that you window shopped. You'll put them in the lineup, and they'll get you right out of the fantasy playoffs first round. You know what I mean?
Easy.
Yeah, you got to think, kind of look at the big picture with stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to look at the bigger scope of it.
Yeah,
you can't get caught up in the recent or the immediate success. You got to look at the bigger scope.
Yeah, rest of season schedule. But yeah, a lot of guys ask me on Twitter and stuff like that, and they'll ask me on waivers. I'm like, is that guy better than anybody you currently have? Nah, I don't know. Don't get suckered in.
Don't pick them up.
Yeah, don't get suckered into those guys. Let somebody else get them. They'll burn a waiver priority or whatever your budget, fab budget, if you do that. And then you can still come out ahead and grab somebody that's going to make a difference or going to show up in a week that you need them. So like this time, what's your strategy? Let's talk a little fantasy strategy. I know we'll jump off for a second. Like, what do you do? Maybe not this week, but next week. Say you got into the fantasy playoffs in the league. What's your strategy or your approach going in? Setting lineups or putting the best guys, matching your opponent's roster. Like, how do you play it?
It's a variation of things. I do it based off of. Well, for my lineup, I do it based off of strength. Mm-hmm. So I'll do it based off of the opponent, who's the opponent they're facing, how are they looking thus far, and how have I reaped the rewards from their contributions to my team. Also, another thing that I look at is constant injuries. Depending on the injury is also how I depend on which players I want to start and which players I want to sit. Like, for example, with the Thielen situation, I think with the hamstrings are always iffy. You never know what you're gonna get out of a hamstring. Yeah. But I just feel like his volume and what he can bring, it just kind of just offsets it. So I feel like me personally, my thought process would be, I'm gonna throw Thielen in just based off of prior success and what he can immediately do and provide for that offense.
Yeah, ceiling's too good for that. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just a couple ways I look at it. I try to just stay in the ballpark of where I think. So let's say, for example, we have a two committee backfield. Depending on the streakier person is how I decide whether I would start that guy or sit that guy. So if the guy I have is more of on the upside and trending upwards, then I'm a rock with him and I'm gonna put him in my lineup. So that's just some of the. It's just a bunch of variations that I just try to go through and just try to give myself that competitive edge and just get that win for the week.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. You got to do. Everybody's different with strategies. I always like to hear what everybody's doing because that's how. You got to play your best lineup and you got to look at the projections and then use your gut. I mean, you got to use. You got to
because you can't trust the projections a lot of times.
Right.
Which I don't. I just go with my gut feeling. You know, a guy may be projected higher than the guy I might think will dominate that week. So I'm going to just go with my gut.
Yeah, that's how I look at the projections. I'll look at the number and be like, is that relative to how the game is going to play out in real life?
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just say like the same thing I said with Cobb. Like, can you see him getting 3 or 4 catches? Okay. Can you see him getting in the end zone once? All right. Now, does that add up to what this projection is? Is it too high? Is it too low? And then, like you said, the biggest thing is you got to dance with the guys that brought you there. So always get those consistent guys started in your lineup. And then I'll peek across and see who my opponent's playing and then just roll through that list and go, is my wide receiver 1 better than his? Is my wide receiver 2 better than that? Is he going to do, who's got a better matchup in real life? Who's got a better ceiling? Like we were talking about Thielen, like who could really go off if this is his week? And then the floor.
For sure.
Yeah, who's got like the safest floor that at a bare minimum 8 points is okay with me. You know, maybe you're in a deeper league or a couple flex spots or something. But yeah, fantasy strategy is key to this week. And when it all goes wrong, obviously, you know, on Twitter, I always do the because fantasy hashtag because you gotta like shake your head, man. The shit doesn't add up. Man. You look at
doesn't.
And this has been a big week or I'd say big season actually. Couple weeks for that because fantasy, because I'm sitting here talking like I get on the radio and talk with my guy Dennis on WNST and I'm like, all these stats, right? I like stats. I like using my gut. I do a little blend of everything, but I think stats are always fun because they do give you a little deeper insight to a matchup or a player. And this year, some of the weeks, man, all the stats tell you one way. And I mean, when they are in your face and that evident, you usually roll with it, and 99% of the time you come out correct, right? This year, it's gone the other way. I mean, player A is facing, you know, the defense that gives up the most fantasy points to running backs. Okay, that's a lock. Put him in there. Well, then he doesn't do anything, and he gets shut down, and you're like, well, how in the hell does that happen? This team has been so bad, you know, to running backs, and now all of a sudden they're like Super Bowl champs against any running back. They'll shut Barry Sanders down this week. Like, it makes no sense. And so I always hashtag it because fantasy, because you just got to shake your head and you're like, because fantasy, man. It's like the fantasy gods just are not smiling on you this week. And I've seen a lot of that.
Sometimes it happens, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that this week.
They're not always in your favor.
That's for sure. Well, hey, let's pick some real NFL games. I'm going to jump into the intro and let that rip.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll break it down, and then let's get into some pick'em games, real life.
Y'all boys ready? Yeah! Y'all boys ain't ready? Yeah! Somebody light me up! Ooh!
Aha! Let's see. What do we got? These are my picks. Your picks. We're going to do these through the slate of games, including Thanksgiving. We're going to go through the point spreads. We're going to pick our winners, who's going to cover the spread and all that good stuff. Minuses, teams are favored. Pluses, you know the deal. So we're going to start off on Thanksgiving. We've got the NFC North rivalry game, Bears and Lions. The Bears are who we thought they were. Is Detroit going to let them off the hook? We've got Detroit plus 2.5. I'm going to go, the quarterback play stinks on both sides of the ball here. I'm going to go Bears. I think they win straight up. They cover everything. Give me the Bears.
Take the Bears as well. I think they cover everything. They're away, right? Correct?
Yes, in Detroit. It's Thanksgiving in Motown.
Let's do it. I like the Bears. I think they cover the spread.
Remember when Aretha Franklin sang the national anthem on that Thanksgiving Day game a couple of years ago? Maybe it was
iconic. How can I forget?
Maybe
that?
It was longer. Maybe it was longer than a couple of years. But man, I'm telling. When I watch the games and the national anthems, just sing the damn song straight up. Don't try
to mix it and remix and do it.
Yeah,
come on, man.
She killed it. If everyone could sing it the way she sang it. Woo,
we miss you, Aretha.
Chill.
We miss you.
Yeah, chills just thinking about that. It's such a good
For
clip.
sure.
Such a good clip. We'll jump into the next one. I believe it's the the later afternoon game. The Bills.
4:30 game.
Yeah, okay. 4:30. Okay. Bills, Cowboys, a little old school 90s Super Bowl action. Cowboys are favored by 6.5. And that just seems a little too smelly to me for the way that Dallas has been playing. Jason Garrett's under some heat. Jerry's calling out the whole damn coaching staff. They've got weapons. They should definitely be better. This is the time that they got to make a run, but I feel like they're trying to crawl out of a hole more so than Buffalo's just been hot. They've been, like you said, offensively, they've been getting it done. John Brown's been lighting teams up. He's heavily involved and a consistent fantasy guy, but he's showing up week in and week out. I think if Dallas does win, I don't think it's by 6.5, so I'm going to go Buffalo for this one.
I think Dallas gets it back going. I think they get it back going tomorrow. I think they get the ground game going. I think they recommit to that. Dak's still looking like an MVP. Still pay the man. 6.5. I think they get that. I think they win that one. I give them 2 touchdowns.
Okay. All right.
I think they win that one kind of convincingly and put themselves back on the map and in control of that division for sure.
All right. And then the prime time. This is a game, I hope it's footballs lighting up the sky or the dome, I should say. Saints going to Atlanta, NFC South rivalry, and you got the Falcons plus 6.5. This is a big revenge game for me after Atlanta went into New Orleans and did what they did. Who
saw that coming,
man,
right? Golly.
Drew Brees, one of his worst games all year. I think New Orleans puts the voodoo on Atlanta. They got a little revenge factor. Like I said, NFC playoffs are in sight. Seeding is starting to, you're thinking about that more. I think the Saints go in and whoop ass on Atlanta. I think it's going to be competitive. I think, it's going to be high scoring maybe, but Marshawn Lattimore is out of the mix, I believe. I think he's still injured for the Saints. I don't know if he's back or not, or if he's out. I haven't paid too much attention to the Saints coverage lately, but I'd go Saints.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Saints get back on track. I think they get it rolling, get back into their playoff form, championship form. Alvin Kamara, the rock star, hopefully he can get back rocking and rolling. Latavius Murray has been stepping up in the meantime, though. I like the Saints.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a close one. I think it'll be a high-scoring affair. When these two teams link up, it normally is. So, I like the Saints, though. I think they'll cover it, like New Orleans.
All right. Then we'll go Tampa Bay and Jacksonville, the Battle of Florida with Bugs Bunny hacksawing the state out of the union here. Tampa Bay, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's favored by 1.5. Oh, this one's a little tighter.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just feel like Jacksonville's got the better defense over Tampa. I know Tampa Bay's run defense is good, but their passing defense is awful. So I'm going to go. I know everybody's probably leaning Tampa Bay. I'm going to go Jacksonville. I'm just going to go the other way in Jacksonville on this. I think Nick Foles can just sling it. Any quarterback facing Tampa can really get theirs, through the air. Jacksonville's got a lot of weapons. DJ Shark, Westbrook, Fournette. I like Jacksonville to get it done.
Winston is in the mood for a 4-touchdown. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin kind of step it up. I think the Bucs get it this week.
Yeah, that could be an interesting game back and forth. And we'll go to the Jets at the Bengals. We talked about Andy Dalton coming back for this game. The Bengals are plus 3.5. Jets are the hot team, and I'm going to ride them this week. I think they definitely keep it rolling. I don't know, Andy Dalton coming back. It's 1 week. He's missed quite a few games. I know he's got the itch and the chip on his shoulder after being benched. But to see this defense this week isn't the answer. So I'm going to go New York Jets.
Same. I think I got to go with the Jets, too. I think they're starting to put it together. I don't want to say it's too little, too late, but they're starting to figure it out. I think they can kind of make a late wild card push a little bit. I'm going to go with the Jets.
All right. Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Big revenge game. Big. A lot of juice going into this game. A lot of juice. It could get ugly. Could be nothing. Don't know, but this is a big game here for the North, especially the way the AFC North is going to play out over weeks, 15, 16, 17. I'm pretty interested to see how this one goes, even though I'm not a fan, obviously, of either team. But Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is plus 1.5. Baker Mayfield's been hot. He's been getting some attention. Devlin Hodges is going to be slinging the ball for the Steelers without Connor. I'm not sure on Juju. James Washington's been pretty hot, but Cleveland seems to play better at the end of the year for whatever reason. I don't know if they start realizing they're out of it and they just want to play spoiler. But the revenge factor on both sides, I think, is pretty strong. This is a tough one. I want to say Cleveland. Yeah, I gotta go Cleveland just for quarterback play.
I gotta go Cleveland. I think they're starting to finally figure it out. They're starting to put some things together. Defense has been good. Baker's been a little mistake-free for the most part. Odell's starting to get rolling. I like Cleveland in this one.
Yeah, there's too much talent.
It's too much talent on Cleveland's end. They've been a big disappointment this year. And it's unfortunate because all you heard going into the season was how much they were going to dominate the North. But it hasn't been the case. But I think they get it this week. Revenge game.
Yeah, let's keep all the helmets on this week.
Let's keep the helmets on. Rematch game. Revenge game. I think the Myles Garrett situation is behind everybody.
Yeah.
We can just solely focus on football. I think Cleveland gets it. I think they win this week.
And then we've got Washington Redskins at Carolina Panthers. Panthers are favored by 9.5. I like that one all day. Redskins are reeling. Yeah. They are reeling. No quarterback play. That defense is going to be on the field a lot for Washington. Yep. So I see Carolina taking care of business there.
Same. I'm right there with you. Carolina gets it. Christian McCaffrey continues his MVP campaign. Yeah, they keep it rolling.
He could have a huge monster game. And then going back up north, Green Bay traveling to New York, just what the doctor ordered for a Green Bay team that got their asses whooped in San Francisco. I'm taking Green Bay. Giants are plus 6.5. I think Green Bay puts an exclamation point on this game, puts their stamp on it. Green Bay always, the past couple of years, they beat the bad teams going away, but the teams are either supposed to beat edge out or a more competitive team they can't really hang with. So, New York's a pretty bad team. The Packers defense is actually good. It really is. As bad as the offense has been, it's overshadowing how good the defense has been. I think defensively they can really handle Jones, and without a Golden Tate in the mix, I think they can shut it down. They'll have some trouble with Saquon, but overall I think Green Bay can just light it up here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you. I don't see it being close at all. Green Bay's defense has kind of lacked off these last couple of weeks, but I think they can recreate that pass rush with the Smith brothers.
Yeah,
I think they get that going this week. Like I mentioned earlier, Jamal Williams has been in between the tackles. I think they find that run game again. I like Green Bay convincingly in this one.
Definitely. We'll have the Eagles traveling down to Miami. All the retirees going down there, right?
Nice.
Eagles, Dolphins. Dolphins are plus 9.5. I'll take the Eagles. Miami's probably the best terrible team right now, right? Of all the teams that just straight up suck. At least they're trying. They're
it's
making
effort there. Yeah, it's effort for Miami for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll keep it somewhat close, but you got to give it to Philly there. And then the AFC South, Tennessee Titans at Indianapolis Colts. Colts are favored by 2.5. Ryan Tannehill's been pretty good for the Titans. Colts.
Oh yeah.
Colts D has been good. I think they can. Man, but Derrick Henry just lit up Jacksonville, and he always gets hot at the end of the year too.
It's his time. You're absolutely right. It's time to get rolling.
He'll give you those games.
Those long runs. Yeah. Those long thumpers. Yeah, man.
Yeah, defensively, I just like the Colts a bit more, so I'm gonna go Indy here.
AFC South matchup. Tennessee's been playing good. I like the running. I like where the running game's at. It's gonna continue to roll. I think the Titans get it this week.
All right, we'll give you the Titans. We'll split that one there. And the Rams, who just got manhandled, are gonna face division rival Arizona Cardinals. Rams in Arizona. Cardinals are plus 4.5. I'm going to go Cardinals, man. It's like I said, it's Kyler Murray. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he's a similar dual threat offensively that the Rams just absolutely struggled with to contain. And I mean, he can get loose, he can break runs, and he's not as fast as Lamar, but he is fast, seriously quick. And he's short. He's so small. I mean, he gets lost in the mix. Guy. Yeah, he gets lost in the mix and pops out the other side or breaks it out, contain, and he's out down the sideline. So I like Arizona this week. If the Rams win, I mean, it's going to be something they edge out maybe, but I'll take Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think, like I said earlier, I think the Rams still see some trickle effects from that Ravens loss they took on Monday night. And you know, if you really look at the Cardinals, they've been in a lot of close games this year. Yeah. They haven't been blown out. They've been right there with a lot of teams. Kyler Murray has looked great. He's looked like a number one pick. I think Arizona, they're going places in the future, and they're going to compete in the West. I like Arizona this week. Yeah,
offensively, they're going to get better. And like I said, Fitzgerald is your vet. Christian Kirk on the outside. He's dangerous. They got Hakeem Butler, Baltimore native.
Baltimore zone.
Yes. But he's hurt. I mean, next year is going to be his year and his time to shine. And I think if you put him in the mix with those three, that's a triple threat.
Andy Isabella had a long touchdown pass this year.
Yeah.
Andy Isabella, I think he'll come on and start to develop his craft a little bit next year. I think the Cardinals definitely got some bright young stars over there. They're going places.
Yeah, they got some weapons. And then the Raiders and the Chiefs.
The Oakland Raiders.
Used to be such a good rivalry. When Romanowski was spitting in people's faces and frickin' Montana. I mean, that was a good rivalry back in the day.
Love it, man.
That was a good one. So they got the Chiefs favored by 9.5, and I'll take that, man. Mahomes, he should sling it all day on that Raiders defense. I think they'll have some trouble with Josh Jacobs, but overall, I mean, shit, yeah, I got to give it to the Chiefs there.
Yeah, Chiefs. I'm right there with you. I feel like we've been agreeing on a lot of these picks, but I'm right there with you. I think the Chiefs, they run away with this one. Pat Mahomes carves up that Oakland secondary, which has been atrocious all year. Got the Chiefs running away with it.
Yeah, no, we had a couple different ones, but overall, yeah, some of the games, I think this is just one of those weeks where
it's just one-sided. It's just like those weeks were just like one-sided team just gonna run away with it.
Yeah, so then you've got Chargers and Broncos. Broncos are plus 2.5. Phillip Rivers has been absolutely awful, but I mean, look at the quarterback situation for Denver. So I gotta go Chargers. And like we talked about Cleveland, the talent. I mean, there's just too much talent on that Chargers defense, and they've been getting guys back from injury. So I think they can definitely get it done here. I'm going LA.
Right there with you. I think the Chargers get it done this week.
And then
Broncos have been irrelevant. I don't even know where Von Miller has been all year. Run game can't get going.
Yeah. Patriots.
What do you want from me?
Patriots and Texans. This will be a really good. This is an AFC playoff preview game.
Oh.
So Houston right now is plus 3.5. I think everybody's kind of sleeping on Houston. I don't think they're
for sure.
I don't think they're terrible. And Deshaun Watson, I'm a big fan of his. Even since Clemson, he's too good. I know he didn't show
winner,
up.
Man.
The Ravens took care of him, And the Patriots may be able to do the same, but I think he can be dangerous. This could be a closer game than people think. But points wise, I got to go New England just for defense. I mean, they can get it done. They're on a mission.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. New England's defense gives them the edge in this one for me. I think that they can take your best player and just take him out of the game.
Yeah,
I think they'll do that with DeAndre Hopkins. I think they'll put Stephon Gilmore on him. He'll shadow him the whole game. I think they'll get it done. Low scoring game. I think the defense kind of pulls it out for New England. I see New England getting it done this week.
Yeah, the weakness on the Texans is that offensive line, and I think New England, similar to Baltimore, can just get too much pressure with their front four, and they don't have to blitz. They can drop coverage. They can focus on taking the pass away. That's kind of how you beat the Texans. So I think they can, for as good as that defense is, I think they can do that same style. Vikings, the Vike Queens, as we call them in Wisconsin, and Seattle, another possible NFC playoff preview. You got Seattle Seahawks favored in this one by 3.5. And I'm gonna go Seattle. They're coming off a bad Philly Eagles game. That wasn't pretty, but against the Vikings, Seattle at home is a tough team. They play different at home. Yeah, they play tougher. That stadium is rocking.
Oh yeah.
Kirk Cousins,
12th man, baby.
It is 12th man out there. That's no joke. The Seahawks at home. Kirk Cousins traveling out west. I think that might be too much to overcome. So I'm gonna go Seattle there.
I'm right there with you. I think Russell Wilson keeps them guys on the right path. I think Seattle wins it, continues to solidify his MVP campaign. DK Metcalf gets going. I see Tyler Lockett doing this thing this week. I like Seattle.
Okay, now we'll save the best for the last here. Niners traveling to Baltimore, and we are hoping
it's Baltimore, gentlemen. The gods will not save you.
Like we heard a man say, it's Baltimore and the gods will not save you. So
I like it.
Good God. Yeah, the Ravens are favored 4.5. First time I think what was the stat on that? The first time ever a 10-1 team has been an underdog in history or something. Ooh. It was one of those intriguing stats that came through this week.
Yeah, it's been a funky season all around. That's wild.
Yeah, what do you think of that one?
I like the Ravens at home. I think they'll cover that spread. San Francisco's 10-1. They got a great stout off defensive line, but I haven't seen anybody slow down Lamar and what the Ravens are doing yet. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, Bosa and company are going to be chasing his ass all night.
Bosa, Armstead, they got some guys, but until I see somebody at least neutralize what the Ravens are doing on offense, I gotta go with the Ravens. I gotta go with the Ravens. Defense, I think, will step up. I don't think they'll give Jimmy G too much time to sit back there and dice him up. I like the pass rush this week. Give me the Ravens.
All right. Well, I'm glad it's at home at least, and they don't have to travel to San Francisco. So that's a plus. For me, the 4.5. Damn. I almost. Damn. I'm gonna do one of these where I hope it's the opposite just because I'm picking it, but I'm gonna go San Francisco with the points here, and I'll lock it too. I think this game will be close. We talked about if the Ravens are peaking too early, right? We talked about that earlier.
Right.
I don't think this is a huge letdown game. I think they can win this game straight up, but I think it's going to be by 3, or it's going to be one of those scare games where team with the ball, Ravens get the ball last minute or something, they clinch it. But I think it's more like a by 3, something like that. I feel like the spread should be like 3 on this game.
Got it.
So that's a tough one, but man,
that's a tough one. Super Bowl preview. We'll see. They're at home. I like that a hell of a lot better than being on the road. So I think they can definitely get it rolling there. Holy crap, though. It's going to be a game of the week. That's game of the week. It's unfortunate it couldn't get flexed to a Sunday night or a Monday night game. But
it should be.
Right. No question.
It definitely should be. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, well, we can wrap it up. Let me bump in some Purple Rain. So that'll wrap up the Week 13 Wk13 Fantasy Podcast. And as always, thank you very much for listening, supporting the show. Make sure you drop a comment, give the episode a share on Twitter or Facebook. And then as always, hit us up on Twitter with anything you want to hear on the show. If you want to talk fantasy, Ravens, anything, man, hit us up anytime. And that's on Twitter. And for me, at FantasyWireHQ. For my man Chauncey, at Sleepy Intellect. Give him a follow. And we're always active on there, going back and forth, especially during the games. So we'd love to talk with you there.
Thank you, Frank. Thanks for having me, Purple Rain. I appreciate it so much, you guys. Give me a follow. I'm always updating Ravens information, fantasy information. I'm your guy. Check me out.
Definitely. Thanks for jumping on with me this week, and we will do it again. And good luck to everyone in the fantasy leagues this week. It's time to make a run. If you're already eliminated, just have fun with it. Doesn't matter. Play spoiler. Do something this week and go out with a bang and get it going for the next year. That's why it's fantasy football. It's just for fun. Remember that, because a lot of people get too fired up over this shit. You got to calm down, right?
Calm down, y'all. Please.
It's fun. But
fantasy football for a reason.
Yes, absolutely. So with that, we will see you next week.
Yeah, all right. This press conference is over.
Peace.
No, it's over, pal. It's over.
That wraps up today's episode. For even more fantasy football content, find Frank on Twitter at FantasyWireHQ and online at thefantasyfootballwire.com. Be sure to tune in next week, and thanks for listening.